folks. Deadline Live, AmericanFreedomRadio.com. Again, I'm Jack Blood, and showing up on the program today. Showing up. He joins us today, Splitting the Sky, otherwise known as John Boncour. He is just an amazing activist who has just been through the utmost trials in his life, lucky to be alive, most likely, and never scared to go up against the establishment, no matter what country he is performing his activism in. Just somebody I have a lot of respect for. I wanted to get some updates on him, on his case, and what he's been up to. So he joins us on the program now. Splitting the Sky, great to have you with us.
Hey, good to be on your show, Jack, as ever. You're one of the greatest. You're one of my heroes.
Thank you, and you're definitely one of my heroes. What's new? You know, one of the things I thought about you recently when we saw the prison riots in California, of course they're saying this is due to lack of funds over there, but it got very deadly. A lot of people got hurt. A lot of people died. You survived the Attica riots. This looks very similar to me.
Yeah, it sure does. Well, anyway you look at it, the fact is that ever since prisons have been privatized in the U.S., it's become one of the fastest growing industries according to Fortune 500. And if you're going to invest in anything, invest in prisons, because they just keep stockpiling them up by the millions and millions. And in a country that's supposed to be a free and democratic society, land of the free, we have more prisoners in the U.S. It's almost 2.3 million right now than any other country in the world, including Russia.
No kidding. I mean, 1 out of every 100 Americans is in prison.
That's right.
It's just absolutely astronomical numbers, and of course, nowhere in the world will you find this. It seems that, John, right now, of course, you're observing the political environment. People are getting very rowdy and starting to wake up to what's been done to them all these years. It seems like 30% of America wants to put the other 70% in one of these prisons right now.
Yeah, and then if you factor in the same economic conditions that lead most people to commit crimes of property, and they end up like for me, I ended up in jail and got 8 years for an attempted robbery for a submarine sandwich. I got 8 years for it, and because I was living in the streets at the age of 18 years old. And this is what led me to Attica, and I ended up doing 16 years of my life behind bars. And so when you look at it, you see the prison industry is just that. It is an industry. And it's racial, it's bigoted, it's repressive, and it's contemporary. For the most part, it's a contemporary plantation system.
It is. I mean, these are the gulags of Russia, of Germany, of China, right here in America.
That's right.
It's just shocking, and when people really start to look into it and find out, and you're right. I mean, it does have a lot to do with race, John, I believe, and certainly we've seen the indigenous peoples of this country have to take the brunt of this, and maybe they're the first people to have realized, what was going on around here. A lot of our friends are Native Americans, or as they prefer to be called, American Indians. I guess we're all Native Americans if we were born here. I guess Obama isn't a Native American. That's something to debate.
Yeah, he's a Native African.
But and it's a classist, elitist system as well that punishes the poor and certainly the enemies of the state, like you and me.
Yes. And the way I see it, we keep looking at the effects of the Federal Reserve and the ripoff and the national debt and the economy, jobs being lost by the hundreds of thousands every day. People are going under economically. There's the same Wall Street bankers and lawyers that architected the put option stocks behind 9/11 are the same ones that orchestrated the bailout to rob people blind. The U.S. Treasury's been looted a long time ago. They're constantly making useless money in order to sap people's gold and silver. And eventually the whole economic system is going to totally implode. And when that happens, as we can see, they're getting ready with for martial law and military takeover of the U.S., and they're just stockpiling federal national reserves and military forces in violation of one of our constitutional protections, the posse comitatus, and also the loss of habeas corpus. And so what we got here is we got an implosion. And all we have to do, I think to myself, geez, when the economy implodes and they can no longer make profits off of people that are in prisons. It's not. Are they going to open up the doors and let them go? No, they're not going to let them go because they also got cages that they're building out to $600,000 for the Federal Emergency Management Association, but they orchestrated another 9/11 false flag operation, and they're going to throw people in there, let people starve to death. And then, classic example, you remember in Peru when, I forget the name of that prison, but when there was a major riot, instead of sending in their troops, they just bombed the place and killed 300 people, man. Do you remember that?
I do, and I don't remember the name of the prison either.
Yeah, I can't remember it right now, but that's
that's business as usual in Central and South America, in banana republics, with dictators in Central and South America, or even in Africa. This is business as usual. This isn't supposed to happen in this country, John.
That's right.
How have you been? I know you've been fighting the case. You were arrested in Calgary protesting Bush Clinton, all of that up there, and you've been wrapped up in a lot of legal troubles. On top of all of that, you've got some 9/11 truthers out there who have been, I guess to put it politely, using character assassination on you.
Yeah.
How does all that filter out? Tell us what you've been going through.
Here's a guy that really, in all actuality, he's a nobody trying to be a somebody. And he apparently, according to some people, that he's done some good work in the movement. But for him, now see, somebody had a good friend of mine named Wayne, who has become a brother of mine. Now this guy's an ex-guard and a security guard and a prison guard, and the two of us have become the best of friends. And he's in the movement, the 9/11 Truth Movement. He's called the father of the 9/11 Truth Movement in Canada.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is, now I'm a relentless researcher, and I have dug up so much information that is all laid out in a number of my talks about who was really behind 9/11, all the players that made billions of dollars of profits in the put option stock tradings. And I'm researching the Bush-Cheney involvement in 9/11, and I'm going so deep and bringing stuff out. And this friend of mine has had a number of people, I guess 10 people he did a YouTube video on.
Hey, feel free to mention names on my show. Don't worry about saying names or anything. I'm okay with it. I'll take the heat, John, if necessary. But we want to get the truth out there, whatever that may be, and get all sides of the story.
This guy's name is Doug Brinkman, and what he did was he was an Edmonton 9/11 truther, supposedly, and he then gets on. What he does is when they put out my name up, they put my up to be on the honor roll for 9/11 truthers that have contributed, countless hours of research and time and energy to, exposing what really happened behind 9/11. Well, now this guy went to the 9/11 blogger with a guy who calls himself the Reprehensor. He's the guy that controls this blog, and it's one of the biggest bloggers that's visited there. And what happened was that this guy. Brinkman says no. He says I applaud all the people that you've listed, but I wouldn't put John Boncourt Hill on there. He said because he's a murderer. He killed a cop in Attica in 1971. So what he basically did was he consciously left out the word alleged to have killed or was accused to have killed.